Jalen Bridges, NBA draft scouting report. This is a Baylor swingman, can kind of play in multiple positions, played the three, played the four for Baylor. He even played a little like super small ball five at times for the Bears.
Yeah.
This is a guy who I think could help a lot of NBA teams in a lot of different ways and might be one of the more slept on role player types in this NBA draft. On our big board here at Sleepers Media, Jalen Bridges slotted in at 48th. I had him 58th on my big board. Ralph had him the highest out of all four of us. He had him 49th. Somehow, I don't know how Jalen Bridges ends up 48th, which is higher than any of us individually ranked him, but we're not a math show, so let's get to our categories. What is one word to describe Jalen Bridges?
Versatile. You kind of brought it up in the intro there. He can do so many different things. He can space the floor, knock down threes. I think he had one game for Baylor where he made like 6 or 7 threes this season and didn't miss any of those attempts. He's controlled games with rebounding. He's been a plus defender at times when he's been asked to do that. He's a good playmaking in terms of passing ability for his size and what he's asked to do. I think he's a guy who does a little bit of everything.
Okay, I totally agree with everything you said. I went with tape. And I don't mean tape as in like watch the highlight tape, although maybe that makes sense. I mean tape as in like Jalen Bridges is a glue guy, but if you don't have glue, you try to use tape. And that's where Jalen Bridges is.
Okay.
Like, we need him to be a glue guy. You wish he was a little more gluey or just a little higher caliber player, but you don't have the glue. So instead, you're going to try and tape things together with your glue guy, your tape guy being Jalen Bridges. It might work or it might fall
Okay.
apart. We don't really know. Floor or ceiling, what is more likely for Jalen Bridges?
I think his ceiling, and now you said I'm higher on him than anybody else on our team. I think that's because his versatility, I think, is going to allow him to stick somewhere. I don't think his ceiling is high. He's not going to be a starter, but I think that versatility allows him to play a role for a team or for multiple teams. He might be a guy who bounces around, doesn't spend more than 2 or 3 years with any single franchise. But I think that versatility is going to allow him to have a pretty long NBA career. And that, I think, at this point in the draft is a win and more ceiling than four.
Yeah, if you could scoop this guy up in like the 50s, I think you're ecstatic. I also went ceiling. I think for the late picks in this draft, he is one of the more guaranteed options. Like I think he is what he is. To me, he's a role player who knows he's a role player. And there's a lot of guys who are role players that don't know they're role players, and that makes it hard to
Right.
translate to the league. But Jalen Bridges is what he is, and he's aware and he's smart. Best team fit. What would be a great situation for Jalen?
If they keep both of these picks, the Pacers pick 49th and 50th, I think that'd be a great landing spot for him just from the way the Pacers play. It's more up tempo that fits in the Bridges game, largely being a small ball four. His shooting would add to that as well. I don't know if Obi Toppin is going to be back in Indiana. He is somebody who has a chance to make a little bit more money this offseason. I don't know if the Pacers, with their situation and knowing what's coming down the pipe for them, what they have to pay, are going to be able to or want to. I think you could try and hope that Bridges has that kind of can develop into having that kind of bench impact as a versatile four guy.
I could see that. The up tempo point's a great one. I went with the Philadelphia 76ers, and it's because I want Jalen Bridges in between a team that has like a great big and a great guard. I want him to just slot in between and guard perimeter guys and be able to catch and finish and just oversimplify his job. A team that has two different alphas already, I think, would make it easiest on Jalen Bridges to try and execute on that. Peak year stats. What did the best numbers of Jalen Bridges' career look like?
7 points and 4 boards. I think he has maybe multiple years, but certainly this year, a eighth man in the rotation, seventh man in the rotation, plays some minutes and just kind of there's some games where he has 15 and 10. There's some games he has like 2 and 1.
I'm going to shock you with my answers to these next two categories. I have 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, 40% from three. I think
I could see that.
yeah, it's nothing spectacular, but it's like, hey, your defensive stuff is good enough, your shooting is good enough. we need to give you like 35 minutes on our team. And if he plays 35 minutes, I don't think those are crazy numbers for a guy who is as cerebral as Jalen Bridges is. In 5 years, where is he? He could be all NBA, an all-star, a starter, a bench guy in the G League overseas, or a podcaster.
I think he's a bench guy. Again, I think he falls in that like eighth or ninth man in the rotation, back end kind of player. You said at the beginning, he can do a lot of different things, just a matter of the level he does those things at. I do think he's going to improve, but I also think there's a cap to that. Like I don't know how much more potential and untapped stuff is there. So I'm keeping him on the bench.
This might be NBA draft scouting report fatigue. I have him as a starter. I don't know how, but I just look around the league right now. There's a lot of guys who start that I in college would have said no way that happens in the NBA. And Bridges, out of everyone, is a guy that I think is comfortable being a fifth option. He's not going to demand things. He's a winner through and through. And he just does things on both sides of the ball that make lives easier on your superstars. If you do that, I think you end up getting opportunities. And I'm going to bank on him somehow, some way, stumbling his way to a starting job in 5 years. He is most likely to what? Jalen Bridges, out of everyone in this draft, is the most likely player to
wear an outrageous outfit that makes him trend on Twitter.
I mean, he's a handsome dude, honestly. Yeah. Like, I could see that.
He strikes me as somebody who would get very much into the fashion scene in the NBA.
Honestly, that's just like the Baylor forward, like Jeremy Sohan.
Yeah.
Yeah, follow that path right there. I could see it. I said Jalen Bridges is most likely to end up in the NBA dunk contest and not make a dunk.
Okay.
It's like everyone in the league turns down the invite. So like,
yeah,
rookie Jalen Bridges will take it.
We have, two-time winner who's a G leaguer in Mac McClung. So
it's true. It's not exactly a great time for the dunk contest. All right, there's your scouting report. We have 74 more of these up on the channel. Thank you for watching. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.